Hello there, I am Fernanda Paiva, hitchhiking stars and bringing you information on the lunations. And I am back from a little break, a little emotional healing break. And I am here to talk to you about the new moon, the first new moon of 2026. So this is going to be happening on the 18th of January 2026. Obviously with a little bit of variance here where you are in the world. So this could be the 19th, this could be potentially the 17th as well. And this new moon is happening at 28 degrees of Capricorn. So 28 degrees of Capricorn. This is a really powerful first new moon. And I love that. Obviously, it's in Capricorn. January is Capricorn season, but it's not a regular Capricorn new moon or the regular themes that we would normally associate with Capricorn, right? When we think of Capricorn, what do we normally say? What do we normally discuss? There would be ambitions, there would be life direction, work, our money situation as well, our material life, right? But there is a very powerful layer that's underneath all of that, which is really, really under the spotlight here with this new moon. And it's very exciting. I personally think it's very exciting, and I believe that you're going to agree with me. And first, let's say we're going to talk about the Sabian symbols as we usually do. We're going to talk about the chart itself as well, and the aspects here that we see that this new moon is forming. So the main aspects, and also think about the tarot cards as well that are associated with this new moon as well. So let's begin with the Sabian symbol maybe. So the Sabian symbol for 28 degrees Capricorn is a woman reading tea leaves. Simple as that. A woman reading tea leaves. Now, that is a picture, there is an imagery for obviously divination, intuition, and is a double connection here with the intuition because we have a female figure. So we have a double sort of yin energy here, receiving messages, seeing signs, channeling information in a mystical way, if you will, right? We're not really talking about reading books. We're not talking about doing research and using the rational sort of side of our brains, of our beings, but receiving information in this very creative and intuitive way. So I think there's no underlying layers here. It's very obvious, it's very straight to the point, and I love it because it's very Capricornian in that way. It's very to the point, even the Sabian symbol here. Now, this Sabian symbol is amazing with the rest of the chart for this new moon, because for me this is, like I said, a very magical new moon. So looking at the chart in front of me, first of all, we have a stellium. We have a group of planets in Capricorn. There are 4 planets in Capricorn. We have the sun and the moon at 28 degrees, but we also have Mercury and Mars at 26 degrees of Capricorn. So they're all together. They're all bundled up, and they're all forming a part of this new moon. But what's also fascinating for me, so there is an abundance of Capricorn energy for this new lunar cycle, for this new beginning, right? This new beginning in a new year as well, which we will continue this conversation, but I do feel that 2026 is actually going to be kicking start in March rather than now. We're still kind of immersed in things that we need to deal with, the past, ending things, finishing things, decluttering, etc. And this new moon is kind of a part of this period as well. But there is a very strong emphasis here in that Capricorn flavor with Mercury and Mars as well. However, and that would be okay. We could easily think, right, career, direction, plans, structuring your life. And that could be a little bit of that to a certain extent. But what we also have as kind of part of this stellium is Venus and Pluto in Aquarius. What they all have in common is that they are all ruled by Saturn, right? Aquarius is traditionally ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is at 27 degrees Pisces. Now, not only Saturn is at 27 degrees Pisces, but is also conjoined Neptune at 29 degrees Pisces. So there is a really strong emphasis on intuition, on divination, on receiving messages. All these different topics that we see associated with the Sabian symbol here for this new moon. The woman reading tea leaves. So not only we have these emphasis on the sort of more ethereal, more spiritual side of Capricorn, but there are also a few aspects here. I mean, this new moon is forming a sextile to Saturn in Pisces, to Neptune in Pisces, and it's also forming a trine to Uranus. So Uranus is at 27 degrees Taurus. Now, why did I mention that the year is going to be picking up in March? Is because we have Saturn and Neptune going back, back to Pisces for a little bit. And we also have Uranus retrograde back to Taurus for a little bit. So we're sort of like ending something. We're kind of like, oh, hold on, that's not quite finished yet. I need to go back to this. And go back to this, I mean, go back to the transitions, the transformations, the processes that we were going through in connection to this cycle of Uranus in Taurus, which is started in 2018, and to the transitions and transformations and lessons that we were having with Saturn in Pisces, which started around March 23, and with the changes and transitions of Neptune in Pisces, which started about 14 years ago, right? 14 years ago. That would have been what? 2012? 2012? That's when Neptune entered Pisces. So really looking at these different cycles, because remember, astrology really has a connection, as a way of reading cycles within cycles within cycles. So all these different layers here that we're still dealing with are an intrinsic part of this new moon, of this coming new moon in Capricorn. Is kind of like realizing a lot of things, having insights about a lot of these things. And in particular, with the more spiritual side of Capricorn. And that's, in my view, very interesting, because out there in the world, what we see, what we tend to talk about Capricorn is a lot more the earthy, material, side of Capricorn. Capricorn is very ambitious. Capricorn likes money and achievement and etc. But really, the symbolism of Capricorn is the sea goat. So the sea goat, we have a duality in this sign, right? We have the mountain goat or the goat head on one side, which is what we normally talk about more. The sort of grounded, earthy, ambitious, climbing the mountain, climbing the ladder, going upwards, etc., achieving. But we also have the fishtail. And the fishtail is definitely talking about that, woman reading tea leaves, sort of Sabian symbol imagery of that more hidden, emotional, intuitive, spiritual depth of the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn being just before Pisces, preparing us to enter, or just before Aquarius actually, just before Aquarius, where we're going to enter the realm of the collective mind. right? To get prepared to get to Pisces. So the mountain goat and the fishtail are two very important sides of Capricorn. But because the Sabian symbol is pointing at the tea leaves, and this new moon is ruled by that Saturn in Pisces, which is a double whammy. It's the ruler in Pisces, but also the ruler conjoined Neptune in Pisces. And also that Neptune in Pisces being at 29 degree Pisces, which is the anoretic degree, the crisis degree of Pisces. So there's something really powerful of this energy of Neptune and the fishtail side of Capricorn. So it's really pointing at that spiritual side. And this new moon could be really, really magical in terms of setting intentions, reflecting on how can we balance. So the function here of Capricorn, how can we balance our material aspirations, our material needs, our worldly plans with the more spiritual and mystical needs that we have, right? This new moon is a wonderful configuration representing manifesting spirit through form, through structure. It's not about just your work, just your achievement, just your to-do lists. It really isn't. It really has a connection to that other side. And I love what John Wadsworth, astrologer John Wadsworth, says in his book about the transition from Sagittarius to Capricorn in the zodiac, and that involving the incarnation and incorporation of spirit. And I think this new moon is really talking about that. The incarnation and incorporation of spirit, right? How can we do the things that we need to do aligned with that higher truth, right? How can we be accountable for our visions? The last new moon was in Sagittarius. It was a lot about our visions. It was a lot about our dreams. It wasn't square to Neptune. So it was really emphasizing that higher realm, the spirit realm. Now, this new moon is talking about the balance between the two. How can we bring that into the world? And how are we doing this, right? How is that going for us? So it's a wonderful time for pondering, for reflecting, for setting intentions in a more balanced sea goat manifestation here in the world. Now, this is the definite dominant flavor of this new moon. It really is about balancing that sort of, sea goat symbolism of Capricorn, because it emphasizes a lot of that spirituality. However, there is one more flavor, which is Venus-Pluto conjunction. So Venus is at 1 degree Aquarius, coming to conjoin Pluto at 3 degrees Aquarius. So that flavor will be part of this lunar cycle in a very big way as well. And I feel that the Venus-Pluto conjunction here in Aquarius, also ruled by that Saturn or ruled by that Uranus in Taurus, is really telling me about aligning values, right? The deepest interpretation of Venus is core values. And the conjunction to Pluto is that it becomes a life and death situation here. We really, really need to ponder on those values and align that process of getting in touch with the sea goat through our values, right? Through what's really, truly, dearly important to us. With that Venus-Pluto, and transforming, letting go, peeling more layers of the things we thought were important to us, but actually are not really part of our core values. They were just vanity or a need for validation in some way. And, you know, so we're going to be peeling some of these layers during this cycle as well with Venus Pluto. But remember, it really is about manifesting spirit through form. How are you doing that? Are you focusing too much on spirit and forgetting about the structure? Are you focusing too much on the structure and forgetting about the spirit? Those are the questions to reflect and to ponder during this new moon in Capricorn. So that's it. I'm very, very happy to be back. I hope this has been helpful to you and to your first new moon of 2026. And I will be back with more insights. So wishing you guys a wonderful new moon and a beautiful new year as well. And I will speak to you all soon. So take care. Bye bye now.